When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature. You think you're gonna get the truth in a town like this? When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature.
Do you see the beauty of it? The inevitability. You rise, only to fall. You, Avengers, you are my meteor, my swift and terrible sword, and the earth will crack with the weight of your failure. Purge me from your computers, turn my own flesh against me. It means nothing. When the dust settles, the only thing living in this world will be metal.
You remember me?
How you doing tonight?
Doing well, officer.
Can I see your driver's license, registration, and insurance, please?
Of course. My license is right here, my wallet. It's all right, son. You remember the night in July?
Hands up!
Hey! Wait! Put the phone down! Put that phone! Sir, it's a phone! It's a cell phone! It's just a cell phone! You knew he was unarmed.
Get to the car and put your hands in the air! Officer, please, he's just a kid!
You pointed your gun at him. Okay, get out of the car, son. Easy. You pulled the trigger.
Put the phone away! Put the phone away!
The grand jury determined that no probable cause exists to file any charges against Officer Randall.
This is my son. This is my little boy. You took that from me. The world took that from me. Today we make that right. Hear me when I say this, because I'm only going to say it once. Don't stop filming.
You should just give up now.
Why are we the only people in this country that are expected to do things without violence?
I didn't mean to kill your son!
What you did.
I did what I was trying to do!
I just want justice. That's all I want. This is your jury, the deciders of your fate. Today, you will be tried for the murder of my son. You scared? Are you afraid?
So begins the end.
Now, all you black folks, I suggest you get away from all these white folks. Not you, Steve. You're right where you belong.
Let's continue reading now because we still haven't been able to read how those vaccines work till the end. So you see. So let's read the lies and then we'll read the truth. These are the lies from this particular point. It says, one of the ways your immune system fights off infection is by creating large proteins known as antibodies, which does not exist. So as we showed you in that tuberculosis test, what kind of proteins would it have created right there? The body is just reacting to a pathogen. It's not creating proteins. Does the skin produce proteins? And meanwhile, we've already told you, the body does not produce any protein. It uses protein. We've already told you that earlier. The body does not produce any protein. That is why you consume. It breaks down proteins to amino acids. It does not produce proteins. Continue reading, it says, these antibodies act as scouts. Lies. Hunting down the infectious agent. Lies. And marking it for destruction by the immune system. Lies. Each antibody is specific to the bacterial virus that it has detected and will trigger a specific immune response. The response is that the body fills up the place with liquid to try to remove the toxin. Because there is a toxin, there is a pathogen or a poison right there. Let's continue reading. These specific antibodies will remain in the immune system after the infection has gone. False. The body only stores up liquid. There is no such thing as antibodies because there is a presence of pathogens, poison in it. So it stores up liquid. Continue reading. It says, this means that if the same disease is encountered again, your immune system has a memory of the disease and is ready to quickly destroy it before you get sick and any symptoms can develop. False. The test for tuberculosis is to introduce another pathogen of tuberculosis into your skin. That's what it is. So continue reading. This is the part that you should pay attention to. It says, sometimes, however, the immune system doesn't always win this initial battle against the harmful bacteria or virus, and you can become very ill, in extreme cases die. So what is it talking about? So it's saying that if you get attacked by a certain disease, right, that your immune system, which does not exist, can get compromised and you will die. All right? So let's continue reading because the immune system does not exist. There is no such thing as an immune system. Continue reading. It says, vaccination is the safest and most common way to gain immunity against a bacteria or virus that your body has yet to encounter. This is a lie. But let's continue reading because we want to show you that all vaccines give you the disease, which people do not know. So we continue reading. It says, vaccines contain a harmless form of the bacteria or virus. Sometimes I just have to laugh this out because it's unbelievable the level of stupidity that we've been able to put up with, because you've all believed in albino supremacy and have never paid attention to the words and had a little bit of common sense, because you're all wicked. Those who are listening, those who do not do the commandments of the Creator, those who think they have some knowledge, those who think that we are trying to sell them something, those who have not yet to come to understand the reality of this world. All children of Satan. I want you to pay attention to these words, and let's read it again because I just have to laugh. This is unbelievable that the people whom we give our lives to treat us can write this kind of nonsense. It has no common sense. But let's read it again so you see it. It says, vaccines contain oh my goodness. Okay, everybody else is laughing around me, so that's why. Okay, hold on. Let me get myself together and read this, okay? Okay, I have gotten myself together. Let's read this now, okay? It says here, vaccines contain a harmless form of the bacteria or virus that causes the disease you are being immunized against. Okay. Let's just think about this logically, because this is ridiculous. Even just trying to put this into an analogy, simple analogy that people can understand, it's just so ridiculous. I don't even know how to start. But let's just put this into a very simple analogy. Let's say, for example, that a full bottle of beer is 100% poison. Okay? If you've ever gone into a store and you bought something and said, this is a poisonous substance. Let's see if you can pull up a picture to make this clear. So let's think about this logically, right? We just want to give a simple explanation because this is ridiculous that we even have to explain this. We all know, as we have been taught, that let's say tuberculosis is very, very harmful. That is why they say tuberculosis is a disease. It's harmful. So any disease is harmful. Right? So once you say something is harmful, it is harmful. So you cannot say that something that is known to be harmful is not harmful. Do you see the logic that we're saying here? Let's read that statement again before we continue. So it says, vaccines contain a harmless form of the bacteria or virus that causes the disease you are being immunized against. If something is harmful, you cannot say it's not harmful. right? Poison is harmful. There's no such thing as harmless poison. Do you get the play of words right here? Poisons are harmful. Smallpox, tuberculosis is harmful. There's nothing as harmless smallpox or tuberculosis. It is harmful. So let's pull up that picture again right now. So here is a bottle of poison. So if someone were to give you, let's say, a drop of poison, will it not make it still to be poison? Do you see the stupidity that the so-called medical sciences can pull upon you because you lack common sense and you refuse to do the commandments and think? So if someone were to give you a drop of this poison right here, would you say that it's not poison? But this is how witchcraft and sorcery, by the minds of very evil white supremacists, has manufactured a way to give black people diseases and call it a vaccination by saying that there is such a thing as a harmless poison when the word itself says poison. So let's continue with reading their lies, because at least you can see right here it's an admittance that when they give you a vaccine, that they are giving you the disease itself, even though they say it is harmless. And there is no such thing as harmless poison. Poison is poison. I give you 10% of poison, it is still poison. I give you 100% of poison, it is still poison. Poison is poison. Disease is disease. That is why it's called a disease or sickness. A pathogen is still a pathogen. It's just like somebody telling you that a weak lion is not a lion because it's weak. Can you believe that? That is what they're saying. Or somebody tells you that a weak scorpion is not a scorpion because it's weak. The word there is that it is a scorpion. Weak or strong, it is what is a scorpion. It will still do what a scorpion is supposed to do. It will still sting. So I wanted you to see that first, because from this website we are reading from immunology.org. That means the organization that's in charge of creating immunology or vaccines per se, because vaccines is what they call immunology, right? So reading on, it says here, the bacteria or virus will be killed, greatly weakened. Oh my goodness. I just can't believe that these are the so-called people that we trust with our lives can write this kind of, ultimate nonsense, and nobody pays attention to it. It says the bacteria or virus will be killed, greatly weakened, or broken down into small parts before use in the vaccine so that they can trigger an immune response. So remember what we told you. Your body only responds if there is a pathogen. Remember we told you that. If you pour water on your body and it does not contain any pathogen, you won't develop any skin rash. Your body's not going to do anything. But if you pour poison or toxin which contains some sort of poison or something that's toxic to your body reacts. So if they say that the vaccine that they give you is weakened, all right, and is broken down and is dead, why is your body reacting? By triggering an immune response to something that is not supposed to be harmful. Common sense. Do you see how stupid people have become? Do you see the number of people that the medical industry has killed? This is why they have tried to put everybody inside the medical industry by saying that you must have medical what? Medical insurance. Free health for all. It means free death for all. Because your body should not trigger a response if there is no pathogen being injected into you, as they say that this is trying to create the immune. Oh my goodness. So it says the bacterial virus will be killed, greatly weakened, or broken down into small parts before using the vaccine so they can trigger an immune response without making you sick. Look at the nonsense that they are telling you. So they mean to tell me, because this is what they're trying to explain, that just because you feel, let me say, a tiny bit of pain that means it is not painful. That's what they're trying to explain here. That a tiny bit of pain is not really pain. All pain is pain. Your body is constantly in pain because of the vaccines that they have given you all your life. But this pain is minute, such that it's not really triggering so much response for you to know, oh, I'm actually feeling painful. But it's there because they gave you a disease. All right, let's continue reading. I want you to see how this is from their own website on how vaccines are created. And meanwhile, they told you, I mean, this is the most COVID-19 is the most ridiculous of all diseases ever fabricated on man. They do not have a cure for it, but they have a vaccine. Oh my goodness. Has anybody ever thought about this? The normal way things progress normally in real life is this. You find the pathogen. You cure the pathogen, which is the virus or bacteria, and which we say there is no such thing. You only have fungi or worms, right? You cure the fungi or worms that's causing the sickness. Then you develop a vaccine for it. That is the normal way of medical procedure. A cure first before a vaccine. If you can't cure something, how are you going to prevent it? It's common sense. But nobody has ever thought about this. You cure the disease before you get a vaccination. But yet you have told us that COVID-19 has no cure, but you got a vaccine. How come? Because all this was designed so that the children of the Creator can see openly with their eyes now. Because the Creator has taken away all knowledge and wisdom from these people, from the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, so you will see who the evil is and who the people are that are supporting them. Because it's not common sense that there should be a vaccination for a disease when you do not have the cure. And right now, as you have seen, that a vaccination means that they have to give you the disease itself. So the question we need to ask now is, what are in the vaccinations? Because according to that lying, evil black woman who told you that the vaccines do not give you the pathogen that is made of genetic material which does not exist, and quoted all the flamboyant language of medical science to lie to you, RNA and all that. How can you give some, if you say that vaccines, the prevention for a disease, right? Let's just quote them right now. You say the prevention for a disease is to give you a harmless form of the disease, to prevent you from getting the disease. But yet, you do not give the person the harmless form of the disease to prevent the person from getting the disease. So what are you now giving them? You see how lies and dishonesty will not lead to truth? Two lefts don't make a right. You make two left turns, it's not going to turn to a right turn. Let's continue reading. So let's continue reading the lies and then just end this part, because we want to get to the better parts of how when people got to the hospital, they came out dead. And this was reported as COVID-19, because as we've shown you, the reason why COVID-19 was successful and will still continue to be successful is because everybody in this world right now follows after albinos, anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth, the filthiest, dirtiest people, senile. And because they're very, very predictable, knowing that if they give them something to run with, they're gonna make it elaborate and they're gonna blow it out of proportions. And stupid black people will follow along and believe that is true. Because you can't control black people by blackness. You can only control them by whiteness, by albinos, anybody with straight hair. This is an idea which was known by Satan and every black person who seeks power. That in order to get power and control of humanity, you have to associate yourself with whiteness. So the population has made COVID-19 to be successful because, as we've explained, when the government makes laws, who are the people who enforce the laws? It is the public. The law enforcement officials in the police and justice departments are what? They are the public. They do not make the laws, they enforce it. If you wanted to go into a store during COVID-19, every employer or every person there who was a customer would tell you to wear a mask before they talk to you. So who are the people enforcing COVID-19? It is the public. The public is the most wicked people in the world because you're dealing with so much of them, full of ignorance and stupidity. This same public in the future will be the one pointing you out for not wearing a mask, and the police will arrest you in the future. And that's going to happen very soon. If it's not happening already, they'll be pointing you out for not wearing a mask. Because they want you to be so full of fear. Because once you're stupid and ignorant, what do you have? You have fear. And albinos naturally are afraid of anything and everything. As you heard that lady, a black woman, a couple of years ago, during the time of Idi Amin, say so, that they are very predictable. They blow things out of proportion because of the fear that they were destroyed, because their parents in Lot's daughters watched as Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, and they were full of fear, and that genetic of fear runs through all of them. That's why they're scared of everything. They have the police on speed dial, on everything. And these are the wicked people that are leading you to your death.
But for people who have been living with Asians, we know how much they can panic, when it's a minor thing. And that's why you expected this. In fact, they are doing it better. We expected much more confusion than there is today.
Why?
Because they are known as the most panicky people in the world. If you've been living with these people, you would, just know that this is the right thing they're doing. There is no cause to worry at all.
So COVID-19 is successful because of the ignorance and wickedness of the public. So you have to know the people that are wicked. That is why this video is for you. For those who say they are doing the commandments of the Creator and follow after His commandments, to know who are the wicked people, so you know how to deal with them and avoid them, so they do not lead you to your premature death before your time. So let's finish reading this and let's continue to the finer parts of COVID-19 to show you how wicked the medical industry is. The very people that you put your life. Look at the garbage they wrote here about immunity. They want you to believe that poison is not poison, and that when you make two wrong things that it will turn to a right. They deliberately vaccinate you, impute a disease into your body and say that they're giving you immunity. So it continues reading, saying, your immune system will still attack the harmless. How can your immune system attack something that's harmless? Tell me. How do you attack something that's not harmful to you? Why would your body do that? It says your immune system will still attack the harmless form of bacterial virus from the vaccine and will produce antibodies. There is no such thing as antibodies to fight it off. The immune system then keeps a memory of the disease. The immune system has no memory. The immune system does not exist. The only thing that has memory is you. You remember how to do things by repeatedly doing them over and over again. Your body has no memory. The only person that has memory is you, your mind. The immune system then keeps a memory of the disease. So if a vaccinated person encounters the disease years later, their immune system is ready to fight it off and prevent an infection from developing. You've already given the person the disease. What is he going to do that's going to be different? He already is infected. So we wanted to show you with proof here beyond a shadow of a doubt that vaccination gives you the disease, and there is no such thing as a harmless disease. The reason why it's called a disease is because it's harmful. Poison is not harmless. That is the reason why it's called poison, because it's harmful. So you can see how the medical industry was designed for one single purpose only: to control black people, to give them a sickness through vaccinations to make them weak. Because if you're weak in your body, your mind is also weak. Because strong minds stay in a strong body. If your body is weak, your mind cannot do anything but be weak, because it has no time to think about anything else, because the only thing it's concerned about is getting well. And all this was did because the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, who have taken the identity of all black people, came out from their caves, from their dirty, filthy country in India, and made you believe that they are the cleanest of all humanity, and lied to you. And because black people have not done the commandments of the Creator, they have now become wicked as albinos, anybody with straight hair, by association. And now this world is getting ready to be destroyed. And we are going to show you how it's going to happen, because they have not told you. And because you do not seek the commandments of the Creator, you do not know. But today you will know scientifically of what's really going on. And with that, let's continue with Legends of Roll Call. In 2019, after we had met the Remnant theme and its extended version, in that Remnant theme, we pleaded and begged the world leaders, the white supremacists, the learned elders of Zion, that they should not continue with their plan, because all the plans that they have made for this world was written in a book by a very learned elder of Zion, in which we have that book. And the learned elders of Zion is Sa, and the completing name of that learned elder of Zion is spelled E-R-T. So we did beg them not to continue with this plan of creating this hoax, because they have laid the foundation right from time that at this point in history that they will create this fake influenza scare and use it to control the minds of people, to head them into an artificial intelligence chip, and because they want their kingdom to succeed. We did ask them not to continue with their plan, because by continuing with their plan, they would force us to bring about this truth in this type of vicious manner, such that everybody will come to see that the albino, anybody with straight hair, is really the evil. For those who do not do the commandments of the Creator and know His name and pay their restitution to blacks, which they have benefited of for years. We knew that this would happen, and we pleaded and begged with them not to continue with their plans. And because they have done so, every single secret, because the so-called world leaders still think that everything is going on according to their own plan, but that timetable has changed. It's no longer their plan right now. The plan is in the arms and hands of the Creator. So they might sit pretty and think that there is somehow a secret or somehow a lie that we are not privy of and know the actual truth. They might sit pretty and think that we do not know their names and addresses, their children and next of kin, even the ones that they think that we will never have an idea, because we do not know that they are their children, because they have created this whole fallacy about who is who. But that is a lie. And all of this is going to be public knowledge, because we warned them not to go ahead with this evil, which they did. And so now they have to bear the consequences. Now fear is afraid. And what happens when fear becomes afraid? All right, let's continue with Legends of Roll Call.
So everything that has been going on in the world, especially with COVID-19, is all because Satan introduced whiteness into creation and started making his children in Sodom and Gomorrah, who are today's albinos, anybody with straight hair, to start inbreeding and making everything to be albino. Now, here is something very, very strange which you have never heard before and which you're going to hear today for the very first time. Because as you have heard that water is black, we started saying that on the remnant theme, that water is black, and the only reason why we see it as the color that we see it is because of light. And we explained that if you turn off the lights, right, everything around you is black, which includes the water. So the reason for illumination, the reason why the Creator made light was for us to see the blackness, because without light, everything around you is black. Now, here is something you people have never heard and probably will be the first time that you're hearing today. I want you to close your eyes, all right? And imagine the vegetation of the world which you see is green today. This is something that the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair whose origin is from Sodom and Gomorrah, removed from scripture such that people would not know the truth. Because at the time that the scriptures were written, all indication was given that everything in nature was black. If you remember in roll call, we showed you that all animals were black, right? But that was just for roll call because we did not want to burden you with too much information, because immediately COVID-19 hit, because we had already known that such a thing was being planned, and we had begged the elite, the learned elders of Zion, not to carry on with this plan, because if they do so, then the whole truth of who they are, who their children are, their addresses, their worship, where they congregate, will be known to the public, and there'll be no hiding place for any of them. The only reason why they'll succeed with carrying on their plans until the Creator comes is because 90% of world population is wicked. And when the wicked get to watch and learn this video and hear it, especially for those who have committed abominations, they will find out that their eternity is going to be spent in the lake of fire. So they will do anything and everything in the belief that the system will help them to make sure that this world continues. That is what's going to happen. So the wicked is going to get more wicked, because now the truth is going to be revealed that for all the abominations that they have committed, which is not pardonable, which includes inbreeding, which includes homosexuality, which includes bestiality, which includes rape, which includes murder, will not be forgiven, and that they are going to hell. So they are going to give all their strength to the system, to Satan, to help them to make sure that this world is not going to be destroyed. So we knew that this would happen. So coming back to this story right now, the reason why you're looking at the screen is because in roll call, we showed you that all animals were black. That means every animal that you see today that is not black comes from inbreeding. Now, what we did not tell you also on that video, which you're going to find out today, is that all plants in the world were black. We'll explain why they are green today, and that they started just being green just 1,000 years ago. It's not that long. All plants were black. So close your eyes right now and imagine that the greenery that you see in all the plants were black. Black as night and day. So instead of seeing green, what you would be seeing would be black leaves, black fruits, black stems, black roots, black flowers, black seeds. The whole entire world was black. It was not green as you see in the greenery of the grass and plants today. They were all black. So close your eyes now and imagine that for a second. That instead of seeing green around you in all the vegetation, that it was all black. And this was so until 1,000 years ago, until after the remnant were removed by the Romans in Jerusalem, which started the countdown clock to the end of the world. And this is when everything started being green. And we're going to explain it to you why they are green today later on. So, if you've imagined that now, that is the reason why you're looking at this picture on the screen, because you've probably seen plants like this and you keep wondering, maybe it's just a variety of plants. But no, these are original plants. This was the color of all leaves, of all plants, of all fruits that you see. They were all black in this color. Now, some plants are still able to retain this blackness because they are able to extract, all right, which we're going to get into later, extract some carbon from the atmosphere. So pay attention to the words, because this is going to shock you beyond belief. But we want to show you right here that all plants were black. So anything that's not black is suffering from either inbreeding, one, or because the oxygen that's now in the air is no longer black but green. Did you hear what I just said? I said the color of plants now being green, okay, is because there is a reduction of black oxygen in the atmosphere to green oxygen, and this started in high quantity 1,000 years ago. Now, one other thing that we have to explain before we continue on showing you pictures is this. Even though plants were now green, for plants which were not inbred, because people do not understand that inbreeding has been going on since the time after the flood, that made some plants not to be able to produce anymore right now any black seeds, black fruits, and black flowers, and black tubers for food. So what you have to understand is this, and let's take you down back now to Sodom and Gomorrah, in which albinos, anybody with straight hair, originated from. When Sodom and Gomorrah came into existence by the power of Satan, and from then they started the inbreeding process to produce albinos, anybody with straight hair. What happened was this, that when Sodom and Gomorrah became a community that was known around the world, and that Satan was there, all right, or that Satan was there and was always visiting the inhabitants. When the black people who lived in Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities were there, they did not just inbreed with their close family members, which the Creator gave a commandment later in history at the time of Exodus, that nobody should inbreed with close family members, because it brings about senility, it brings about stupidity, it brings about demonism, because every time you break natural order, what you have is the presence of demons. And because all albinos are born of that unnatural order, they naturally carry demons in their genetics and in their body. They are bona fide children of Satan. The only reason why an albino will become a part of the remnant is because a remnant, after the second destruction of Jerusalem, married an albino when the Romans were busy killing all the remnant wherever they could, and had outlawed them in Palestine in the Middle East. So when they fled and married anybody just so that they could survive, while a part of them fled into Africa and became a nation, and are the only country to date which names their country after the name of the Creator, which a lot of people do not know and are not interested in knowing, and we are not going to let them know except they go to the path of truth. So that is the reason why an albino today, anybody with straight hair, can be a child of the Creator if they know the name of the Creator, because it's dependent. It's dependent that that albino knows the name of the Creator, keeps the commandments, does the commandments, and pays restitution to black people. Special restitution, which we're going to show you how you're going to pay that, and the manner of black persons that you have to pay that restitution to, because without that, the albino, anybody with straight hair, is going to be sorely ostracized from black people, which is going to happen soon in the future, and the foundations has been laid already, as we have shown you before. And then that albino also has to pay restitution to anybody else that he has done harm to. These are the only requisites for an albino to be accepted as the remnant before the Creator. Anything else out of those requisites, you best guarantee that you are going to the lake of fire as an albino. Because every albino in this world, there are no poor albinos. They are all rich because they are benefiting from the oppression of who? Not just black people, but the remnant, because we will explain this later on the shape of a world. Every invention in this world that you are using comes from the remnant, which you are enjoying. This is the truth. They do not tell you this, but we are going to make you understand that every benefit in this world that people have come from the remnant. Because why? The Creator said that the whole world will be blessed by the remnant. This is the covenant he made with Abraham, whose real name was not Abraham. His real name, and we're going to reveal it today to you, was called Asom. Okay? And we're not going to explain the meaning of the name right now, but we will explain it on the shape of our world. He was never called Abraham. So, continuing on, without that, because everything in this world that we are enjoying comes from the remnant, but they have been marginalized and have been made to suffer the most, such that the world of Satan, the kingdom of Satan, the kingdom of Satan's children, who are albinos, anybody with straight hair, and all black people who support it, can continue. The remnants have been marginalized. They have suffered of the most of all black people. All black people have suffered. So every albino, anybody with straight hair, is enjoying from the oppression of blacks. So without them meeting those requisites, they are only telling the Creator that they are children of Satan. So knowing the name of the Creator only will not do. Doing His commandments only will not do. You have to pay restitution to black people. And we'll tell you the manner of black people that you have to pay that restitution to. And you have to pay your restitution to anybody else that you've done harm to, for you to be accepted as an albino by the Creator. But now let's continue now, because all of this is trying to show you what is happening in our world and how COVID-19 was successful. Because a long time ago, we've always told people, grow your own food. The reason why COVID-19 was successful is because people do not grow their own food. So the wicked government could afford to shut down everywhere, and people, and especially because albinos, anybody with straight hair, are panicky, blow things out of proportion, they knew that their lie would be able to be successful. And the whole world, stupid black people would follow after panicky albinos, anybody with straight hair, who blow things out of proportion once you give them the ropes, because they know the predictability of albinos, anybody with straight hair, that they are stupid and fearful, genetically fearful, because of the fear that their parents in Lot's daughters saw the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. They carried that fear genetically till today. That's why they are panicky people. Blow things out of proportion because they are senile, coming from inbreeding. The stupidest people in the world, stinky and smelling, dirty and ugly in all the women, have made black people to believe that they are anything else but the children of Sodom and Gomorrah, who came from India. Now they claim origins from everywhere else except where they came from India, not so long ago. And now black people lick their butts instead of treating them like the scum of the earth that they really are. The people whom the Creator told black people, stay away from them.
Do not go near them. They will never seek your peace. They do not love you. Do not seek their peace either. And black people went over to India to get the power of Satan. Have done that for many civilizations, even after the Egyptian Empire, and brought them out in the Ottoman Empire into all the world, and has brought upon us the end of the world. But continuing on, let's go back to Sodom and Gomorrah now. So I want you to imagine now, since you now understand what we're saying, the whole earth in animals and plants were all black. But the black people in Sodom and Gomorrah started inbreeding, and their children came out albino, anybody with straight hair, pale skin, and they started inbreeding plants, such that the plants now started having different colors in the leaves and started producing white plants as well as white fruits and white flowers. Okay? So someone's going to ask now, this is the point that we answer the question, how is it possible to inbreed plants? We're going to give you a little foresight about how this is done. It is done using caffeine. We're not going to share too much information because we want to make you understand why caffeine is readily available. All right, why you have such mega stores who sell it, such as Starbucks and every other store around there. They use caffeine to make plants to inbreed. Because here's what you have to understand. When the Creator made all plants and made all animals, He put inside of them a mechanism for them not to inbreed. So if you notice, plants have flowers. The flowers have the male portion and the flowers have the female portion in the ovary. So the pollen and the grains is the male portion of the flower. So what usually happens, because of that mechanism that the Creator made inside all these plants, the pollen from the same flower of the plant would not be able to fertilize the ovaries of that same plant to make it to form a fruit. So there was always what they call cross-pollination, because the mechanism that the Creator put into everything did not allow them to inbreed. Now, here's one history you people will never know in the Bible, which was taken out. When the animals were created, they were not created in pairs, because if there is a pair in animals, it means that there's going to be inbreeding. Now someone's going to ask the question now, how about man? We're not going to answer that for you right here. You get that answer in our Bible, all right, on how man was to procreate when he was made, because there was no inbreeding whatsoever designed for manhood. Okay, so getting back to the animals, when the Creator made animals, the animals were not created in pairs. That means only two of each animal. All right, because if there's two of each animal, there's going to be inbreeding. So continuing on, when Sodom and Gomorrah started the inbreeding process, they started inbreeding so many plants that such that it's impossible to find some plants right now today whose seeds are black, whose fruits are black, whose flowers are black, whose stems are black, even though the plant is green today, because plants were not always green in the leaves. Such an example is the cotton plant. The cotton plant was inbred in India. Until you cannot find, it's rare, except you get in the wild, will you find a cotton plant that still has the fluff of that cotton being black. Mostly now today, the cotton plant has a yellowish kind of flowering that's yellowish, almost close to white, and then is bleached to produce the white color in cotton. Now today, if you go and read in history, they will try to tell you that they have modified or genetically modified a black cotton plant. This is how these people lie, because they do not want you to understand that all creation is black, because they are children of Satan. Blackness shows the Creator. They do not want you to know that. So they can lie to you today and tell you that they are genetically modifying the cotton plant to produce forth black, which is impossible. You can't get black from white. You see that every day. When an albino marries another albino and produces, their children will never come out black. It's only a black person that produces an albino by inbreeding and carrying the genetics of albinism. That's why sometimes you see children being born by two black people and the children come out albino, they come out pale. When you go to a book, The Concealed Mystery and Origins of a Depressed Black People, you will see those images there. But let's read now and show you how these people lie to make you believe that there is such a thing as that you can produce blackness from whiteness. Whiteness is the absence of all color. How can you from whiteness produce blackness? But let's read that article before we continue. So let's read how abominable these people can make you believe in whiteness. And it's all from India, because every albino, anybody with straight hair, all come from India. And the word India means Satan. We've already shown you that. Because they are the only people in the world who had the true knowledge of Satan from Sodom and Gomorrah, which was created, which started after the flood. When Satan was still walking around in the earth and was known and seen, he was in Sodom and Gomorrah and bred with this black woman, committed homosexuality with black people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Because people do not understand the origin of homosexuality comes from Satan. Satan committed homosexuality, or the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is terrible to say, committed homosexuality with Satan. And that is how the origins of Sodom and Gomorrah came to be. That every evil in the world started over there after the flood. And that lineage and tradition was carried on by the children of Lot. That is why they said in that statement, there is no man that shall come unto us after the manner of men. What that statement did not make you understand was they meant that there was nobody that will come unto them according to the traditions and culture of Sodom and Gomorrah, which was inbreeding with their family members to carry on the lineage and tradition of Satan. That's what it meant. But they rewrote that in such a way that people did not understand. Because when Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, there were still men around. Abraham was still around. Abraham saw it. But because when you read and you do not read with a high priest to understand what is going on there. I'm not a high priest, I'm just making a quote right there, okay? You will not understand the scriptures. So here we're reading on how they want to lie to you, because it is from Sodom and Gomorrah that the cotton plant was bred out, the knowledge of how to inbreed all plants to produce the variety of colors that you see today, which are not black. In the fruits and the seeds and the flowers, all started here in Sodom and Gomorrah, with all animals too. So in Sodom and Gomorrah, imagine this for a second. The whole earth is black. The vegetation is all black. The animals are all black. But when you went to Sodom and Gomorrah, what did you see? You saw all the different varieties of colors with a lot of white in the clothing and in the people. So it was a patch, it was a cancer in the middle of the earth, Sodom and Gomorrah, and the Creator had to destroy it. So when things start turning white, the earth has to be destroyed. And we're going to show you how it's happening scientifically. So right now, if you walk around, you see white houses, you see white cars, you see white clothing, right? The earth is getting green, it's no longer black. The vegetation is no longer black, it is now green. What do you think is happening? It is primed for destruction, because Satan decided to go and lie to his people that he can prevent the end of the world. And that prevention started turning the vegetation of the earth green, which we're going to show you how. But let's read here first. Colored cotton from India on the cusp of commercial release in 2021. This is a lie. The white cotton that you see today came from being black. Let's pull up a picture to show you some things. So here's a picture of naturally colored cotton, but this cotton right here, because as we've explained, it's from Sodom and Gomorrah that the inbreeding process of plants to produce all the varieties of the colors that you see today that are not black, which people do not even know, which we're going to show you some pictures so you clearly understand what we're saying. There is naturally colored cotton. There is no longer black cotton, because except you stumble upon it in the wild, and if you stumble upon it in the wild, you will not even know that cotton is supposed to be black, because all your minds have been trained that cotton is a white fluff. So I want you to see how the brainwashing is so crazy. People have been so trained such that if they see black food now, they think the black food is evil, and that the other food that is not black is the way food is supposed to be. That's how brainwashed we are. We see black things now, we say it's evil. It's been spoiled. Meanwhile, we do not know that is the original color and creation of that fruit and plant, and that every other color, just like you see here on this screen, whether it be blue, whether it be green, whether it be pink, or the normal cotton color that we see now today, which is yellowish white, all right, came from the black. That's how brainwashed we are. If someone sees maybe black rice or black beans or black any other thing, they think, oh, something is wrong with the food, okay? I want the white rice. The white rice is evil. It has no nutrients. Let's continue reading that article before we continue on. So, listen now so you see the truth. It says, colored cotton from India on the cusp of commercial release in 2021. That is false. I want you to understand something. The white supremacists of this world have always been gathering all the black plants and storing it so that we do not know that these plants are originally black.
Just look at the landscape around us and how remote this is. And then jutting out of the side of this Arctic mountain is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. And we have all been very excited to actually get inside and see for ourselves how what's being done here plays a very vital role when it comes to trying to mitigate against the consequences of climate change. So this is it.
This is it. This is the vault. This is what is built for humanity to survive. This is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It's here since 2008, built by the government of Norway, and it's one of the most amazing things you're gonna see in your life. Yeah, they look funny, but they protect you against ice falling down in the vault.
It's that cold.
It's that cold. So that's about 150 meters down into the mountain. This is becoming the permafrost here in granite. They built this like they built the tunnels in the Alps with a big machine, big excavator. Took about 2 years to build. And it's built to last for a very long time. This is meant to be your way out if the power fails, if there is no lights, so you find your way out of the vault. So the seed deposit works like with any bank and a safe deposit storage in the basement of the bank. You bring your own seeds. You, as a depositing institution, you own them and you keep them, and only you can determine what happens with them. This is the main door to the active vault, one of the 3 vaults that we have. It's all frozen up because inside it's minus 18 Celsius year-round. And this is typically the place everyone wants to have a picture taken. This is world agriculture behind that door. Everything you're gonna need for the world to survive in terms of agriculture is safely kept here for the future. We have 860,000 types of crops. Each probe has 100 to 1,000 corns. So if you look at the number of individual grains in here, it could be close to 1 billion.
My nose is gonna fall off already.
You need to keep warm here with everything that you can. And when you go inside, it gets colder because of the draft of the AC. You could go back to Svalbard and recreate agriculture in the world, which I find an amazing concept.
In the event of a cataclysmic occurrence, this would stay and preserve these seeds for how long?
We have minus 18 Celsius in here. It would go up to minus 8, minus 7 after a few years. But then even at that temperature, most of the seeds can stay for many, many years, 10, 20, 30 years time. So you have a lot of time to think about what to do, even if power fails here and doesn't get restored. It's a safe place.
It is truly remarkable and such a unique experience. You know, the general population doesn't have access to this vault, and we're among the few who have actually been inside. And as Michael said, it really does make you pause and think about how what is being done here is really helping to safeguard our future.
So what am I trying to say? They know for sure that there are black cotton plant seeds which they have. But in order to lie to you so that the power of Satan continues, because remember what we said, every time you break unnatural order, anytime you do things that are not natural, what you have is the presence of Satan. So you must always continue to have unnatural order if you want the power of Satan to succeed in this world according to the successes of this world. Because if you do natural order, you have the power of the Creator. So all what they are doing here by reading this article, by lying to you, is to make sure that unnatural order in whiteness continues in your mindset, in everything around you which they have created. Because as we have shown you, there's nothing naturally white in nature. You have to bleach it. So they go through great lengths to bleach everything and give you the color white so that the power of Satan can increase. So if you're inside a White House, you can be sure that you have the presence of demons there because demons are white. Let's play you a clip before we continue so you see that for yourself. It's a clip of the movie called Ghostbusters, a newer version of it. And you'll see that at the start of the movie, someone goes to eat some Twinkies. The Twinkies are white. The Twinkies come out and chew on his finger because what they are trying to show you is the presence of demons, that everything white is demonic. So if you have a white car, white house, white clothes, white anything, what you have is the presence of demons, and that is how people are controlled by all this whiteness, by all these demons around them which they do not know. So this is how the system works. Let's play that clip and then we can come back and continue.
Mocha. Strawberry, red velvet, blue velvet.
What are you doing here in Somerville anyway?
Honestly, my mom won't say it, but we're completely broke. And the only thing that's left in our name is this creepy old farmhouse our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere. Why'd you bring me up here?
Entertainment value?
What is that?
I don't know.
Somehow, a town that isn't anywhere near a tectonic plate, that has no fault lines, no fracking, no loud music even, is shaking on a daily basis.
Under the dining table now! Hey, remember that one summer we died under a table?
I found this in my living room.
Whoa, killer replica.
A replica of what?
A ghost trap? There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. New York in the 80s? It's like The Walking Dead. Your dad never mentioned this to you?
It's just my mom. My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Call it fate. Call it luck. Call it karma. I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Come on, darling.
It has a gunner seat?
So from this particular portion of the clip, because this is how movies are used to show you the truth, but people do not understand the truth. I want you to understand that at this particular point of the clip, there are people here and they're looking inside the ground. Now, I want you to notice what is going to be the color of the ground, because this is going to make you understand later on when we explain how the plants today that you see are now green when they were black, okay? Because this is how the white supremacists, because you have to remember this. Satan has to tell his children some truth because they're all going to end up in the lake of fire. And then they are going to blame him because they're in the lake of fire. And when Satan gets blamed, all these pictures, all these movies that you've been watching, because every movie is based on reality. He's trying to show you the reality of this world in a twisted way, because the only people who can tell you the truth are high priests. But he's going to tell you the truth in a twisted way. So when the children of Satan are in the lake of fire and they see this and they blame Satan, this clip is going to be played for them. Let's quickly play this clip and then we continue on. So I want you to notice right there. Okay? Let's move it a little bit further right here. I want you to notice that the color green comes out from the ground. Why? Because Satan is trying to prevent the end of the world. And because of that, he brought about green oxygen. And the green oxygen is what's causing all the plants around us to be green. Because this green is a kind of oxygen that burns very, very efficiently if you're trying to burn something. And it is in the lake of fire which is supposed to burn. This oxygen was supposed to be released at the end of time when the earth is ready to burn. But Satan, because he's trying to prevent the end of the world and the lake of fire, so he goes into the places which is prepared as a lake of fire and brings out that lake of fire as magma and volcano. And the earthquakes bring about this oxygen which is used to burn, which is very efficient for burning in the lake of fire, onto the earth. Because he's trying to tell his children that he can prevent the end of the world. But we'll continue with that story later on. So let us read this story for you to see how things have been so twisted. Because everything that's going on in this world and the reason why humanity has been suffering and will continue to suffer and oppressed by the kings of this world, by its kings in the leaders, who some of them sit in the Vatican and who some of them are of the learned elders of Zion, will continue to oppress this world until the end of time, because they all seek after the power of Satan and have denied to do the commandments of the Creator, which said, you shall not do wickedness, because the commandments never said you shall do good. It said, you shall not do wickedness. So continuing on, we want to show you how things are twisted up by this article, by making you to believe that colored cotton can be engineered from white cotton, because the people who write this story know that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah started inbreeding the cotton plants such that it came out as a white fluff in the cotton. They inbred it to produce that white fluff. And we've already explained how the inbreeding of plants are done, because the plant itself has a mechanism not to inbreed. So the only way they can naturally affect the plant such that the plant, instead of preventing self-pollination, now does self-pollination, is done using caffeine. That is why there is so much caffeinated products, or the production of caffeine in such high quantities, because people do not understand that all these agricultural products that are created, especially for those many products that you find that it seems like there is so much of them, there is a reason for it. And like we explained, there's a reason for so much egg production. And we explained earlier how the chicken is not a natural animal, which means that anybody who consumes chicken has what? The presence of demons, because chicken is not a natural animal. Every time you break natural order, what you have is the presence of demons, of Satan, the power of Satan. So that's why a lot of people who eat chicken get sick. Go figure. A lot of people who eat chicken and are dependent on chicken as food get sick. They are not healthy, because the chicken and the eggs that you eat are not natural. Now someone's going to ask, okay, so what do I need to do now? This is why you need to grow your own food, because if you did grow your own food, you would know which birds that you would need to actually domesticate or breed, so that you can get the right protein and the right eggs. And we're not going to tell you that on this particular video, because this video is for those who are going to the lake of fire. It to serve as confusion, so they know where they are heading. Because like we have explained, anytime anybody is stubborn, refuses the truth, thinks they have knowledge, is ignorant, they are going to the lake of fire. Because the very reason for the educational system, which is brought about from Christianity, was to make everybody believe that they have knowledge, so that they would think that the Levitical priesthood is no longer needed. This was the design. So every time someone thinks that they have knowledge, refuses to go after the truth, is ignorant, and he believes that the truth should be served free, Christianity told you that. We are not responsible for the wickedness of this world to do anything free for anybody. If anybody has that mentality, they are all going to the lake of fire. That is the truth. Now, continuing on, let's read this story, because we want to get it out of the way so we can get into the main crux of the issues right now, to show you what we ought to show you, so you understand that COVID-19, the debacle of COVID-19 was a fraud from top to bottom. Because as we have explained, if the medical industry cannot even tell you what's the constituent of the water you drink, which is the requirement for you to get well, because the water is the reason why you get well from every sickness that you have, then there is absolutely nothing they have done for you which is credible. And that is not even the start of it. They lie to you about the very food that you eat. If no nutritionist has told you that every food that you eat which isn't black is inbred food. What kind of nutritionists are there? Because as we've explained, if you do not hear the truth from a high priest, all that you're hearing is from Satan, and everybody is telling you a lie. This is the obvious truth that you have to come to understand. In the shape of a world, we're going to tell you how you're going to eat all this so-called inbred food which is not black, and the best way to go about it such that you have some nutrients in your body. But we are not going to share that on this particular video. And on the shape of a world, we'll also share how you can get rid of toxins and how you can get black oxygen, because we haven't even gotten that part yet, such that you will be well and okay. And for others who think that they know something, let them continue in their wickedness and go to the lake of fire. We are not going to help any wicked person to live any longer. All right, so let's read now. It says, colored cotton from India in the cost of commercial release in 2021. That's a lie. Because cotton was inbred long ago in Sodom and Gomorrah. And the children of Lot brought about that tradition and culture and brought us white cotton. All right, let's continue reading. It says, India, which is named after Satan, because you have to understand that India means Satan. So we can say that Satan, we can just put that word right here because India means Satan. Satan has been the home to naturally occurring colored cotton. Naturally occurring colored cotton. So it's saying that India has been home to naturally occurring colored cotton. What is colored cotton? Because people don't understand. It means black. But when you read this article like this, you will not understand what colored cotton is because you've never known that cotton is black. The fluff of the cotton. But let's continue reading. It says, I want to show you how these people tell you lies, but they tell you the truth and you will not know it because nobody has ever shown you, because the Bible that you read today, in the original scriptures, it showed that everything was black. In the vegetation, the leaves, the plants, the roots, the trees, the stems, they were all black, including the animals. But if you read the book of Genesis today, you won't find it because they removed it in order to lie to you to believe in the myth of white supremacy. In albinos, anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth, the curse of the creator, the dirtiest, stinkiest people in the whole entire world, which people have elevated now and made to have some common sense because blacks gave them some common sense, and now they are taught to be the most intelligent. You've been listening to a fool speak to you all this while. In any albino, anybody with straight hair. Now let's continue reading. It says, India has been the home to naturally occurring colored cotton, and as we've explained, colored cotton here means black, but because nobody has ever shown you in scripture or shown you naturally in nature that every plant is supposed to be black, you would not know what they're saying. You would assume that it's the white cotton that you see, the white fluff. So continuing, it says, the research and commercial release of these varieties had been hampered in the past due to the fear of those varieties contaminating the white cotton. Can you imagine that? So they're saying that the colored cotton black is contaminating the white instead of the opposite. White contaminates black. Albinos, anybody with straight hair, contaminate blackness. The scum of the earth, the most wicked people of all time. And we've shown you how wicked they are. For a country that was built by blacks which they did not pay. They came into this country in the 1850s. They now claimed origin to be from everywhere else but from India where they came from. And when they came in, they took over all the jobs and refused to hire blacks, so you would die of hunger. And none of them have ever gone up to their employers and says, let us hire equal amount of black people, 50% in all organizations, since we say we are not racist. They did not do that. But rather they started painting a picture of racism to mean prejudice by calling you a nigger or by showing you hoaxes in which black people are shot in the streets, even though it actually happens in real life, but they show you hoaxes on TV to make you believe that's racism. So you do not see the racism that they are practicing against you in its actual meaning, because racism means depriving someone of their economical and financial success because of their ethnicity. They want you to die in hunger. And people still go around sleeping with their enemy, the black people, for all the wickedness that they have done. Blacks have heard all true, even though it's fake and it's a lie that albinos, anybody with straight hair, enslaved them. But yet, they still go around procreating with them, marrying and procreating with no common sense, because they are evil and wicked, just like the albinos, anybody with straight hair, in most of these black people, and have brought to us the end of humanity. So you can see the lies right here in what it's saying. It's trying to tell you that the white cotton is going to be contaminated by the black instead of the opposite. Let's read some more into these lies. So see how they tell you the truth now so you can understand. They say, with the government of Satan, because India means Satan, let's just read it as it is, and the Satan Council of Agriculture research paying attention to colored cotton research in the recent years, there could be a commercial release in 2021. The promise of release of naturally colored cotton from India could help reduce the environmental pollution caused by dyes. So Satan has no knowledge. All what he does is distorting nature and natural order, and people call it a miracle. So every time he distorts natural order, because if the inbreeding of cotton did not start in Sodom and Gomorrah and bring about white cotton, there would be no need for what dyes. Because now, see, this is how stupid this thing is. The cotton, when it's produced, is off-white. It's not all together like white. All right? It's off-white, a kind of yellowish kind of white, just like wool. Let me pull up a picture so you understand what we're saying. So the color of cotton would be this color right here. It's off-white. It's not white. It's kind of a yellowish, dirty white color. Now, what happens is that they take this white color, right, and then they bleach it white. They remove the yellowishness that is inside this woolish kind of color that you see on this ram. They remove it. And when they're done removing it, they now start finding dyes to add to it to give you different colors of cotton for the clothing that you have. So, can you see how Satan works in the opposite of real knowledge? Because if he allowed the cotton to grow, there would be no need for dyes. The natural cotton, which is black, there would be no need for dyes. For you to bleach, and then you now find a dye to give it color. Let's continue reading. I just wanted to say this poor black sheep now, because see how much history has been changed such that we now believe that blackness is an abnormality, and they label all bad things to be black instead of that blackness is the normal, is the way creation is. Creation is black. So for example, now they say black sheep of the family, which means that the person is bad, when it ought to be, the correct statement ought to be the white sheep of the family is evil and bad and wicked, instead of being called black sheep. Let's continue reading now. So this whole entire article on colored cotton is actually false, because it's written in such a way for people not to understand that you can get blackness from whiteness. It is impossible, as you see every day. No albino, anybody with straight hair couple, has ever been able to produce a black baby. But black people produce albino children all the time. Go figure. If you don't believe it, get in a book. Go get a book called The Concealed Mystery and Origins of a Depressed Black People, and you will see it, for those who are interested in the truth. But for now, let's continue to show you that all vegetation, because we showed you on roll call that all animals were black. We did not show you vegetation too, but we want to show you here so you see it, that all vegetation was black. And then we are going to explain the reasons fully how they turned green, even though we gave you a synopsis already, but we'll fully explain it so you understand, because there is something much more evil at work that is going to shock you by the time you hear this story on what has been going on for your whole entire lives. Because we already showed you that they lied to you about the water, but they also lied to you about the air you breathe. They also lied to you about the plants that you eat, all to make you believe in white supremacy. Because all blackness leads you to the Creator, and all whiteness leads you to Satan. And in order to control black people and lead them to Satan, who are children of Satan, whiteness has to be used to control them. Let's continue now with Legends of Roll Call. So, all vegetation in this earth was black. Vegetation here meaning the grass was black, the trees were black, the fruits were black, the leaves were black, the stems of trees and plants and crops were all black, the flowers were black, the seeds were black. Everything about the plant was black. But after 1,000 years ago, from the time of the second destruction of Jerusalem, when the remnant was removed by the Romans in the Middle East, and a lot of them fled into every country around the world and bred with so many of the ethnicities which they were not supposed to breed with, it has now afforded that other people who find themselves in the Gentile nations or as being Gentiles can now be able to hear the truth, know the name of the Creator, and do His commandments and seek after Him, because when the second temple was destroyed and the remnant moved into so many Gentile nations, they bred with the women, and today the children born can now have lineage and ancestry to knowing the name of the Creator and doing His commandments, because there is no such thing as being born again. There is no such thing as being evil and repenting of your sins through the blood of Jesus and being accepted by the Creator. You can only be a child of the Creator if you were born of Him. This is the truth. Because people do not understand that the scriptures, when it was written, is literal. There is nothing symbolic. So the Creator would not have made such a statement as that you should be born again, because it would be a literal statement, meaning that you should go back into your mother's womb and come out again. But people do not understand scriptures, because the whole entire New Testament is a fabrication to make wickedness to grow, because we are at the end of time, such that the hidden children of Satan will come out from the closet, because evil is ready to be removed. Harvest time has reached, and when harvest time comes, you clearly see the fruits. And that is why there is so much evil now, so we clearly see and know who is evil. Evil has been legalized and wickedness. So, at that time in history, did plants start turning green? Because the black oxygen that human beings were breathing started being depleted. Because remember this, I want you to pay attention now. If you read the scriptures, if you read from Genesis to even the last book of Revelation, which is actually a book of Daniel still, in the reading of that whole entire scripture, you will never find anything as an earthquake. You will never find anything as any volcanic activity. You'll never find any of those. Why? Because volcanoes and earthquakes are something of recent history. They started after the remnants were removed in the Middle East by the Romans at the second destruction of Jerusalem. This is when it started. And the Creator said and had foretold that during the end of time, that towards the end of time, that there will be earthquakes in diverse nations, and people don't understand what the earthquake means or what it is. And we're going to explain it, even though we've given you a synopsis or preview before about what it actually means. But we're going to fully explain it as we get into this video. People don't understand what the volcanoes mean, because all this was foretold, and immediately the Creator was killed by the learned elders of Zion in the Sadducees and Pharisees, which together with the Vatican run the world today. It set the premise for the earthquakes and the volcanoes to start, symbolizing that we are in the countdown clock towards the end of time. And as we have explained, we know the actual year the world ends. But we are not going to tell anybody on this particular video. If we are going to tell you, it will be at the proper time that we think that we ought to tell you when this world ends. So someone's going to ask, how long do we have? Well, continue being wicked and keep asking that question instead of doing the right thing. Because at the end of the day, if you do not do the right thing by abstaining yourself from wickedness and evil and refusing to do wickedness, which the commandment says you shall not do wickedness, and you think that you are doing the commandments of the Creator by doing good to everybody, you are going to the lake of fire. So let's come back now to the story of showing you that all vegetation was black. So there are plants now today who are unable to maintain blackness in their leaves and stems. But you will notice this. If you go to a shop, you will see that you find some leaves or stems trying to be black, but they are not. It's because most of those plants are trying as much as possible to retain some of the black oxygen which was created. And you're going to find out as we get into this video. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll just save it for now. We'll get into that later. So what we're trying to explain here is to make you understand that some plants are only able to store black oxygen in their roots, stems, and seeds, as well as fruits and flowers, but unable to store it in the leaves because that is not where that particular plant was designed to store energy as food for us to eat. So what are we saying? So some plants, the way the Creator made them was this. They could store nutrients in the leaves. Some could store it in the fruits. Some could store it in the seeds. Some could store it in the flowers. Some could store it in the roots. So when the earth started receiving green oxygen from Satan, who's trying to lie to his children that he can prevent the world from burning up, because if you notice, the earth is getting hotter. Why is it getting hotter? Because of the green oxygen that is in the earth. So the green oxygen is very, very efficient in burning. The green oxygen was not always in the earth. What was present in the earth was black oxygen. So that's why, for example, right now we spend more time exhaling when we breathe than when we are inhaling, because there is an increase of green oxygen. And meanwhile, let's just tell you right here before we continue, we do not breathe oxygen. It's the most terrible lie that they have ever told you. Mankind and humanity, organisms, do not breathe oxygen. We'll get into that later. But for now, I want you to pay attention now to what else we're going to say before we get to that part. So, depending on the plant itself, when the earth started having green oxygen, depending on how the plant stored nutrients, some would store the nutrients in their leaves. If that plant was meant to store nutrients in the leaves, like the lettuce plant that you're seeing here called the red romaine lettuce, the plants would store the black oxygen as a nutrient in these leaves. So if a plant was supposed to store nutrients in its seed, then even though the earth has green oxygen, the black oxygen will be stored in those seeds. Now, if any plant is unable to store, pay attention now, if any plant is unable to store black oxygen in any of its organs, which as the Creator made it was what it was supposed to store nutrients in, which include this black oxygen, then the plant will be green, because the green oxygen is now in effect in the earth. Then secondly, if a plant is not able to store any black oxygen in any form, which is part of the nutrients, all right, which man should eat, it means that plant has been inbred. So two things causes the plants to be now green, even though there is still a limited amount of presence of black oxygen in the earth. One is that if the plant was designed to store nutrients in a certain organ of its plant, it will only store this black oxygen in that certain organ. If it was not designed to, it will not store it, and therefore that part of the plant will be green. But if the plant is unable to store any form of black oxygen in any of its organs, that means, for example, you go into a store and you find such thing as red tomatoes, all right, or green apples, it means those plants have been inbred. So any color of a plant in any of the organs that you eat for sustenance, such as the seeds or fruits or flowers, all right, or leaves, that is not black, it means that the plant has been inbred. That's what it means. So let's continue now to show you some pictures. So we want to show you that all vegetation was black. Everything. Before 1,000 years ago, when everything started being green, because Satan brought about green oxygen, which is very, very efficient in burning. Because he was trying to remove this efficient green oxygen, which is in the lake of fire, which was prepared and housed for the lake of fire underneath the earth. Satan went in there and started causing earthquakes and brought about all the green oxygen in the earth, and the earth started heating up because we have now more presence of green oxygen, which is very efficient for burning. So for example, when you exercise and you start feeling that burn in your muscles, that is the accumulation of green oxygen. If you notice, when you take a look at your veins, you will find out that your veins are green. Why is it green? Because there is green oxygen in those veins. And green oxygen burns. It's very efficient for burning. Black oxygen does not burn. That is the oxygen that was present in the earth for very long periods of time until 1,000 years ago. That was the dominant oxygen, black. But now it's green. And the green oxygen all comes from Satan releasing the green oxygen from deep beneath the earth to prevent the lake of fire from burning, because he's trying to lie to his children that he can stop it. And the leaders of this world know that. The people who are deep into the occult and Satanism know that is the reason for the earthquakes. So the earthquake is a release. Because if you've ever studied earthquake, or what they tell you about earthquake, they tell you that earthquake releases energy. They've never told you what energy it releases, right? The energy that's being released is the green oxygen into the atmosphere. That's why the earth is heating up. But even though the earth is heating up, it's still going to burn. So once Satan tries to prevent what the Creator says, he's only causing it to happen. It's just like the volcanoes. The volcanoes are caused by Satan trying to release all the lake of fire, trying to release the magma and liquid that's being prepared for the lake of fire, which is actually the lake of fire. He's trying to release it into the earth to stop the lake of fire from happening. But what is he doing? At the same time he's releasing it, he's releasing still more green oxygen and is setting the earth up to burn, to ignite. Do you understand that? So that's the reason why you have a lot of wildfires in California, for example, because there's a presence of green oxygen which is very efficient in burning. By Satan trying to prevent the end of the world, he's only causing it to happen more quickly. This is what the Satanists do not understand. Every time you go against the Creator and try to stop his plans, what he said would happen, they are only causing it to happen more quickly. So for example, right now, let me just give you a typical example. We already explained this earlier. If the earth had maybe 2,000 years before its destruction, when the Creator would destroy it, Satan has shortened it to more than half. A lot of people hearing that will think, oh, so we have like maybe 500 more years before the earth gets destroyed. You have lost your mind. You don't have that amount of time anymore, because every time Satan is trying to stop the plans of the Creator, he's only causing it to happen more quickly. If he would just let things be, the earth would have been around much more longer. But because he's trying to lie to his children that he can stop it, he's only causing it to happen more quickly. So he's filling up the earth with more green oxygen by lying to his children that he can prevent the lake of fire, by causing the lake of fire that is being prepared underneath the earth to come out on top of the earth in the form of magma. But he's releasing more oxygen, green oxygen, into the earth in the form of earthquakes and that magma, such that the earth is going to literally burn up. And when it burns, it's going to burn all the wicked, because the children of the Creator will be given new bodies that cannot be destroyed by fire at that time. So let's continue now in showing you that everything, all the plants, vegetation, leaves were black at creation and were black still until 1,000 years ago. Now, if anybody has lived long, I want you to recollect your memory now, because there's so much demonic energy that has wiped away people's memories. If you go back further in history, let's say maybe 30 years from now, you would have noticed that a lot of the vegetables and fruits that you ate were much more darker in color, that the leaves had some sort of like a purplish blackish tint, like the red romaine lettuce that we just showed you. Let's pull up a picture again. So if you remember, way back like 30 years ago, you will find that a lot of the leaves that you ate in vegetables had this color. But today you find more greenery. Why? Because the acts of volcano and earthquakes, which are caused by Satan, trying to prevent the lake of fire from happening, which he has told his children that he's trying to prevent, is releasing more green oxygen into the air, now causing the plants to be more green than this color that you see right here. Let's pull up one more picture of a crop which a lot of people will see and would not have paid attention to. Now, this is a crop that's specially eaten by a lot of Africans. If you're an African, especially from sub-Saharan Africa or Asia, you would have noticed that the okra way back in the day, let's say 20, 30 years ago, were of this color. But today they are now green, but nobody ever paid attention, because the memory of everybody is being wiped by all the demonic whiteness around you. So that is the reason why the government spends so much time to manufacture the color white, because as they do that, the memory of people is being wiped, so they do not remember anything. So the more whiteness you have around you, because it's all demonic energy, the more your memory is being wiped. So that's why the government spends so much time to create the color white, in white cars, white clothes, white socks, white packages, white house, white apartments, white everything. Because that is how demons work, as we have shown you in the movie Ghostbusters, that everything white is demonic. Somebody went to eat a white marshmallow, and those small things came out, which are demons, and bit him. Because they are trying to show you what demons really do. So every time you're consuming white things or being around white things, your memory is being affected. So this is how history has been able to be eradicated from people's memories, such that they do not even remember that a long time ago, that most of the crops they had in their grocery store were of this color, blackish in color, but now they are green. Let's continue to show you some more pictures now. So every vegetation in this world was black, just like you see everything green around you today. They were all black, and they have been black for a very long time, till 1,000 years ago. So when you study your scripture, now you can now understand when the Creator now told Moses, whose real name was not Moses, and we're not going to tell you what his real name was put your hand in your chest, all right, and bring it out, and it turned white. Because everything else was black. So that was quite symbolic, that the Creator can curse, and if he curses you, you do what? You turn white. So the curse means white. So I want you to imagine for a second. Close your eyes now, because we have been so brainwashed by all this whiteness around us. In the children of Satan, called albinos, anybody with straight hair, whose origin is from Sodom and Gomorrah, who called their country after Satan in the word India because India means Satan, and now claim origin to be from everywhere else except India, and were migrated into North and South America in the 1850s. It's so funny, as we have said. The albinos, anybody with straight hair, barely came into North and South America in the 1850s. If there is an albino living right now who is 70 years of age at the most, he would remember that his parents came on a ship from India. But yet they have wiped away this history from their minds because albinos, anybody with straight hair, are children of Satan. They have no memory or recollection because Satan does not want them to know that they are really children of Satan. Black people are not like that. Black people who have been here longer in North and South America still remember how they came. That they came from Africa, for those that did migrate from Africa. But here you have albinos, barely 171 years after being migrated from India, completely forgetting to even tell their children where they came from or how they got here. Isn't that strange? Oh my goodness. If that's not the explanation of real demonic power and energy working in albinos, anybody with straight hair, such that they have no memory or recollection, and did not even pass this information to their descendants, such that every albino today actually believes that he is where he is from, which they claim origin. They claim to be from Mexico, they claim to be from North Africa, they claim to be European. And it's not so long ago that they were migrated into those places. All right, let's continue showing you pictures now. So all vegetation was black. All the fruits, seeds, and plants of animals, all the seeds and fruits and plants, all right, were black. And the animals too were all black. So you can see right here, these black plums, because we have been so accustomed to seeing all this inbred food which they supply in your grocery stores. Because if you go into your grocery stores, there are very few plants that you see that are black. So see here, you say black plums, black potatoes, black berries, black carrots. Carrots were actually black. Let's read some information for you to know that before we continue on. So the article here says, what the F are purple carrots and where did they come from? We'll just read for you to see how mind-washed we are, such that we do not see the truth and understand, because we are not taught. We are taught to believe that things were always green because, like we've said, the reason why the memory of mankind has been able to be wiped such that they do not remember stuff is because of all the whiteness surrounding them, because all the white is demonic energy. All right? So it goes on to say here, a few weeks ago, my husband came home from the grocery store with something mind-blowing. It was a bag of carrots, but in technicolor. Mixed in it with the usual orange sticks were yellow carrots, the color of potatoes, and others so deeply purple they were almost black. We cooked them, and I turned over to the dark side. Now, even though this information is going to contain some lies, but we're going to read it for you to understand and see the truth in it. It says, while most of us in America have only ever seen orange carrots, at least until recently. So you see what it says here? Orange carrots are something recent. But nobody will ever remember that. Why? Because as we've explained, the presence of all the whiteness in the white clothing, white cars, white plates, white everything, white packaging, white houses, white apartments, is demonic energy which causes you not to remember things. This is how humanity has been able to be controlled by the presence of whiteness, which is evil. That is why this article is written and said, at least until recently, because carrots were never yellow or orange in color. They were black or purple, which we're going to show you pictures now. It says the first cultivated carrots were purple. All right? So you can see how they tell you the truth but mix it with lies. Because this writing already has told you that orange carrots, which is the same as yellow, is something recent. If it's something recent, it means that it was cultivated recently. Does that make sense? So this is how these people write stuff for you in which language and you do not understand it. So the first cultivated carrots were purple or black in color. So it goes on to say here, carrots were domesticated in Afghanistan, and spread to the eastern Mediterranean about 1,000 years ago. So, do you see what we're telling you right here? That the greenery and all the color that you see as green in plants and everything just started barely 1,000 years ago. Do you see that now? So it doesn't just look like we're talking. It started just 1,000 years ago after the second destruction of Jerusalem, when the remnant were removed from the Middle East, and the countdown clock for the end of the world and the burning up into the lake of fire, which is going to happen, started. And that is when plants started being green. And this is the time also that winter starts. Because people do not understand. There was no winter season ever in the earth. No snow of whatsoever form. From the time of Genesis until 1,000 years ago. That's why when you read your scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, you see no winter or snow. The only place you will see it is because it was imputed that there was such a season as winter and snow. Because if you understand that the scriptures that you're reading was recently translated at the time of the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, who came out from India and known as the Ottoman Empire, came into Europe in the 1500s. Because snow and winter started 1,000 years ago. At the same time that plants started turning from black to green. So it doesn't just look like we're just reading. So let's continue reading now so you see that we're telling you the truth. It says, carrots were domesticated in Afghanistan and spread to the eastern Mediterranean about 1,000 years ago. They reached Europe and China in the 1300s. So it's fairly recent that plants started turning green. By the early 1500s, orange carrots could be found. So orange carrots were found, started what? 1500s, at the time of the Ottoman Empire, when the inbreeding scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, came out from India into the rest of the world. They brought the tradition of inbreeding everything into nature. And this is when carrots started turning what? Orange. So original color of carrots is what? Is black or purplish in color. So it goes on to say, they reached Europe and China in the 1300s. By the early 1500s, orange carrots could be found in Italy, Spain, and Germany, but purple, yellow, red, and white varieties persisted in Asia and the Middle East. So, I want you to see the goodness of how black is from this particular article. We're going to read it so you see it, because they always try to tell you that black things are evil. But it's the opposite. So it goes on to say here, nobody's really sure how the orange carrots came to take over most of the world. It's because they don't want to tell you that they inbred it to give us the color white, so that we would have the presence of demons and be sick from eating all this inbred food. It goes on to say, early reports suggested that purple carrots had a better flavor. Black carrots had a better flavor than white, than yellow, than any other color that is not black. But even though it says here than white, but purple might have fallen out of favor because they tend to leash a dark pigment onto whatever they are cooked with. Bullshit. They want to give you the reason why that they did not continue to make purple carrots or black carrots to be the staple in grocery stores over some bullshit lies, rather than telling you the truth. That they were inbreeding it to give you the presence of demons, because every time you break natural order, every time you inbreed anything or crossbreed things that's not supposed to be crossbred, what do you have? The presence of demons. They don't want you to understand that and how these things all work. So that's the story here to show you that the black variety of vegetation is the best for you, and black oxygen, which the Creator made, is the best for you. And Satan brought about what? The green oxygen that's now present in the earth, and is causing the earth to heat up because it's going to burn. Just like you see California wildfires or any wildfires start burning because the whole earth is going to burn, and we're going to get into that later. Let's continue now with showing you some more pictures of all the black vegetation. you can get the best out of it if you start growing your own crops. So that you stop eating inbred food and eat food the way it was made by the Creator for your health. Because the inbreeding of food is the reason for all the sicknesses and genetic traits which black people have, but they will never understand. Because why? They are all hooked on albinos, anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth. Their own enemies, they procreate and be with them and give them their strength and their energy to continue to oppress them. This is how stupid black people have become, to sleeping with their own enemies, procreating and marrying them, instead of seeing them for what they are.
You and me together forever.
50 years ago, the students of William Dawes Elementary imagined what the future might hold. Today, we unveiled their legacy.
It's a list of dates. Every major global disaster for the last 50 years in perfect sequence. The next number on the chain predicts that tomorrow, 81 people are going to die in some kind of tragedy. Get off the train.
Why? What's wrong?
Just take the baby and get off the train.
Estimates put the presumed dead at 81.
The prediction came true. It's not coincidence. Don't let him watch the news.
Why won't you tell me what's going on? They were here.
Who?
The Whisperer people.
The numbers are a warning. They're a warning to everyone.
This is not a test. This is an emergency broadcast transmission.
Are we gonna die?
I will never let that happen, Caleb. Do you hear me? Never.